Thank you so much to Angie and Sonia for joining us today. They are with Interstate Credit Union, and today they are going to be speaking to us about their Instagram strategy on their page, what inspired them, and any other tips and tricks that could be helpful for other financial institutions who are just trying to find their way on social media or even enhancing the engagement on their social media page. So, thank you both so much for joining us today. Before we jump into these questions, would you guys like to introduce yourself? Maybe Angie, if you would like to go first and just tell us about your role at the credit union and what you're currently working on for them right now.
Okay, thank you. I am Angie Sturgill. I am the marketing officer for Interstate Credit Union. I've been with them, just celebrated my 1 year anniversary at the end of August.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been a wonderful year. I was originally hired to be out in the community more. We have a very strong community involvement, and I still focus on that. But the longer I was here, the more we've utilized my graphic design skills and knowledge, and jack of all trades, expert at none, I think they say. But so you asked what I was
Expert at all,
currently
Angie.
working on. Everything. Uh, we we plan our social media engagement a month in advance if possible. I'm working on ads for local newspapers, yearbooks, all the things.
Excellent. And that's what we hear very often with financial institutions, that especially in the marketing department, there are many hats that are worn by an individual. So we love hearing about that. And thank you for sharing and congrats on the 1 year work anniversary. Sonia, would you mind just sharing a little bit about your title and what you do currently at the credit union?
Yes, thank you. My name is Sonia Royal. I'm VP of Operations. I've been with the credit union 20 years now. I started really young. I was a baby. I was in high school. But I am in charge of like managing IT, marketing, and then do project management as well. So I try to support Angie and help her and give her what she needs to get this job done. We were really blessed to find her, and she has really brought up or elevated our social media and marketing.
Well, that's
Cool.
excellent. Thank you so much for sharing. And congrats on 20 years at the credit union. That's quite a milestone and an accomplishment. They're
If
lucky to
I can
have
just
both of
jump in
you.
here. Yeah, if I can just jump in here with one question. Sonia, before Angie came, were you planning your social media a month in advance? Because that's something that really struck me as just a great, efficient way to deal with social media.
Yes, we were. We used to have like a third party who would help us manage that because we just didn't have the in-house design graphic skills, and then we didn't have the time to manage it and plan it out. So we would kind of give them a guide and tell them what we were looking for, and they would go do the graphics and content of it. So we brought that back in house and given that back to Angie to help us manage and get out there for everybody.
Yeah,
Cool,
they laid
thank
a
you.
great foundation for me.
Awesome.
Talk to us a little bit about what that foundation was for you guys. What was kind of, the major help that they did for you that really you guys were able to capitalize on?
I guess just for me being new to Interstate, seeing what have they posted regularly, branding I get. So, but it was more of, okay, what are we focusing on each month? How often? And we use a Google Doc just to kind of keep a calendar. And then so Sonia and I communicate back and forth through that so she can see what have planned each day, what I have planned to go out and email blasts. So kind of their structure of how they planned it was a great foundation for me, because then I didn't have to start from scratch and figure out a new process.
Excellent. And that's something that is really at the core of developing a solid social media strategy. The first step is just starting, right? So where do I start? Well, I start with planning. What am I going to focus on this month? What products and services is the credit union really trying to promote right now? And how do I build a story around those promotions? So it's really important to have that balance too, from, what I hear you saying, have that balance of how often you're posting, right? Also, just to jump in here, adding some financial literacy in the mix as well. So making sure
Mhm.
that you're educating your audience and they're understanding why you're posting about these products and services, why are they important, and what value does the credit union bring to their members. So I think that that foundation that you guys have that you're continuing to capitalize on is perfect. And especially with the branding on your page, I'm going to encourage anybody who's watching right now to go to Interstate's Instagram page. It's InterstateCU. They are absolutely wonderful with, what they've done in terms of recognizing birthdays, anniversaries, and just having a consistent structure of how they present that information across the board. So well done there. So in general, I know you kind of touched on this a little bit, Angie, and Sonia, feel free to jump in here. What is your social media strategy? It's a very broad question, I know.
Well, it
So
goes
feel free to answer it however you
it goes
choose.
back to our core of we're community involved, we're member owned, and we're well, we're not so small anymore, but we're in very small communities, and so we know our people, and so that's what we try to do on our social media is engage with our members because they know us. That's why the birthdays and anniversaries, those get a lot of engagement because in small towns everybody knows everybody. We just added our 6th branch, so we are growing. So hopefully we can continue with those birthdays and anniversaries. As we keep growing, we're gonna have a lot more birthdays and anniversaries. And Sonia and I've talked about we don't want to totally bog down our social media with our employees' birthdays and anniversary stuff because we gotta get the other message out there. But I guess the strategy is really it's the engagement, is trying to get the members to see, look, we're you. We live here, we work with you, our kids go to the same schools, and
We're their neighbor.
yeah.
And so we want to make sure we come across that way. We're the same as them. So the decisions we make, we do have them in mind when we make them. And because we are their neighbor, we're in their community. So, we try to post community events and share those when we're participating in them and when we're sponsoring them. And even when we can't be there, we try to share those. And then we do, like we were talking about earlier, we try to include some financial education in there. And we have partnered with Balance, and they offer those online webinars. And so we try to, when those come out, keep them posted every month. And then we try to do, some fun content so that it's not all birthdays and things. So, for the engagement, it could be pets. It could be summer plans or vacations. And then we do some giveaways, Mother's Day, Father's Day. And Angie has been great about branding and keeping everything with that same look and that feel. And then more recently, instead of pushing more products, we've been trying to push more services and help educate members on how to use those services and all the different little aspects of them.
Excellent. Now, what particular type of content are you posting? Is it videos? Have you guys done any video content? Have you done infographics? What type of content do you think your audience has been engaging with the most?
I've only done one video from our Douglas opening. My background is photography, so not videography, but learning. But they engage the most with the people that they recognize, whether it's our staff, their birthdays or anniversaries, or any of our community events when we're posting pictures from those. That gets the most engagement. They want to see the people they know.
Absolutely. And that's something that's pretty common across the board for sure. Now, I'm just going to segue into the next question right now. And it sounds like you guys have already answered this, but if you were going to give a financial institution who's looking for more engagement advice, what advice would you give them?
For engagement, keep it
Yes,
personal. The boring, you got to have the financial literacy stuff in there because it is knowledgeable stuff, but you got to keep them. If they're scrolling, you want to catch their attention to where they stop and read. Wait a minute, what is that? Or who's that? I know that person. What did they do? So most people, I'm assuming, probably around my age, they're scrolling on their phone. So you want to get their attention, and a person that they know grabs that attention quicker than a infographic.
Angie, can I ask you something on that? Because
Yes,
just
ma'am.
as you're speaking, I had this idea, and I'm involved more in the research end of this. But if you were to have your, you say keep it personal, which I agree is what we're seeing across the board. And that's what makes your social media so engaging, is that they're seeing people that they know. So if you were to take the people that they know, whether it's the MSRs, whether it's the members themselves, and had them talk about financial literacy in a
Mhm.
video, can you see that working well, or what do you think of
Yes.
that?
Sonia's nodding yes. That is stuff that we have discussed. It's
Mhm.
just a matter of time and
Yeah.
Do you think that's the
execution.
future? Like, is that the future of social media? Yeah.
Yes, I think
Yeah.
so. A lot more testimonials from
Mhm.
members, and maybe even a member showing how easy their mobile app was for them to use or something, besides just saying, oh, I had a great time at Interstate's Jessup branch, but more, yes.
I love it. So you would have like a member actually, and this doesn't even have to be scripted, just you
Mhm.
have a member showing how they're using the app, and obviously the privacy concerns, you'd make sure they're not showing too much or anything, but you would have a live demo, so to speak, of a member using the app, or somebody who could talk about, even the basics of budgeting, getting out of debt, the credit unions, personal loan, help me pay off my credit cards or whatever it is. So you're putting financial education and financial wellness out there, but it's coming it from a more personal place.
Mhm.
Cool. Thank you.
That's what we talked about, I think, on our last planning session, was trying to get there to that level, and creating videos, and having our staff from, MSRs, tellers, loan officers being more involved and engaged and helping us with videos. And some of them they have a knack for it, almost like TikTok, like they love it. So bringing that in and posting them on social to help members, we think that'll really elevate it a step.
Love it.
Excellent. Laura, did you have any additional questions?
Nothing for me. I think this is great. I think what came up here as far as the future of where things can go is awesome. I love that you post a month in advance. We're seeing a lot of financial institutions where it's just like, okay, we'll post this today, that without a plan. So I think that's what attracted Nicole when she saw your social media profile. It was just like, wow, these people know what they're doing, and we'd like to share that with others. So yeah, thank you so much. Is there anything else that Angie, Sonia, anything you want to add, or anything you'd like to tell the world about social media, or just, content in general, marketing?
I just appreciate y'all recognizing it and having us on here. Colors matter. So my advice is stick to your brand colors. That's part of branding. No funky colors thrown in. But,
So let me
but
ask you something on that, Angie,
uh-huh.
because I think that's kind of it's a balancing act, because on the one hand, you want it to be colorful and fun and different. On the other hand, you want to stay true to your brand. So what would be your advice to find that balance?
It's difficult. So, like, especially during holidays, you want to throw in some red, and our colors are blue and yellow. So stick with your font. You should have a brand font and probably a secondary font. And maybe that secondary font can have your funky red or something, but minimal, as long as your brand color and brand font is the main focus, then that secondary color is okay to throw in there to show the holidays. Or like October, breast cancer month, we will have our logo pink, but it's still our logo. It's still branded. It is hard to find that balance. It's just don't get carried away, because I'm a very colorful person.
So what I'm hearing from you, Angie, is that as long as you keep some components of your branding, you can feel free to have fun with the rest of it. So if I want my logo to be pink for, whatever it is, or red or whatever, I can go ahead with that, but keep the logo, keep the font the same, keep the general look and feel of your brand. And then within that, you can change some components as long as you're not changing everything.
I don't know if that's the correct way to do it, but that's what I believe.
I love it.
I think it's some of that could be opinion. Some people, it stays that color. There's no change in, no nothing. But I think there's some flexibility. If as long as it structurally looks the same, there's a little bit of flexibility there.
That sounds like a
Laura,
happy medium. Yeah, I like it.
Laura, I wanted to add that, like, if a credit union does need to outsource it because they don't have those graphic skills in house, make sure that they work with whoever their vendor is, and they have a branding guide. And when we first started, we didn't have a branding guide, so we kind of got all over the place. But when Angie came, we really narrowed that and fine-tuned that down, and she's done a great, awesome job at keeping us on that. And so that has been a game changer for us too.
Cool. I love it. Thank you. A branding guide, are we talking about something very extensive? Is it a one sheet of paper? Just keep it simple, right?
Yeah, we had a great company that we worked with. So I do not want this to sound negative in any way, but I think there were different designers working on it. And so it was different styles.
That's right.
And so to make it cohesive, I've just put together, it was a one page and it was, here's our logo. Usually it's in the blue with the yellow sun, or all white or all black, or sometimes it'll be white with the yellow sun. But typically we don't change the color of the sun except Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And the fonts were kind of changing depending on the design. And so then I just made a guide that said, here's our logo, here's our colors with the hex codes, and here's our fonts. Here's what the footer typically should look like. Here's our tagline. Yeah.
That's great. And, just to jump in and to add on that, we have worked with financial institutions at that agency level that you're describing, Angie. And it's so interesting that Laura asked that question, what sort of information did you hand over to them? Because I know from our end, we've received brand guides that were, like an infographic, right? Like very simple, very basic. Here's our colors, here's our fonts, and just kind of stay in this lane. And then we received multiple page PDFs. So it really depends on, and both work, and we're able to, adapt and work accordingly with whatever resources are given to us. But it's very interesting, the way everybody sees their brand, the way everybody wants their brand to come across. So, it's important that exactly what you guys are saying, that you're staying in your lane, that, you're only kind of taking a sidestep for those important months that you want to make sure you highlight and that you support. So kudos to you guys for really keeping it focused and understanding the message that you want to get across to your audience.
You have one more thing that's
yes, keep going. I love it.
One of the first things Sonia told me when I started designing for social media was compliance. And so that has nothing to do with engagement, but it's for the credit union's protection. They need to understand where they put NCUA or FDIC if they're federal, or both, or equal housing lender, all that stuff. I had to learn that real quick. We have federally insured by NCUA on every single post, unless it's just a picture from a community involvement. If it has our logo, it has even just written out in the words. That's what our audit told us. We could just have the words. We didn't have to have the logo. But then if our tagline's involved, we have to have some more. We have to have that equal housing lender also, typically.
Now, do you have a template for those types of posts where you just like kind of like a plug and play? So you have a template and then, you'll add in whatever information you want, or is it? Go ahead.
Birthdays and anniversaries, yes, that's a template. When we have our home closings, that's a template. So certain things that are posted regularly and I just need to change out the picture or the date or something. But otherwise, I design new stuff.
So that's a nice balance for you. So you have some that are ready to go, and then you have the creative license to go and whichever way you want with it. That's excellent. I love that.
And the longer I'm here, I won't have to design as much, I'm assuming. It's more
That's
just
right.
because I've been here a year and I'm, starting over in a way.
Absolutely. And you're setting things up for the team. So as you guys continue to grow, which it sounds like you're growing wonderfully, so congrats on that. As you continue to grow, you'll have those templates, you'll have those basics to hand down, and that will eventually be a part of your brand guide as well. So you guys are essentially, creating your own foundation for the growth that you want to get to. Excellent. Anything else? I'd hate to stop you guys. It seems like you're on a roll right now, but is there anything else that you want to talk about, that you want to share? Any success stories? Any campaigns?
We have found that member testimonials work really good too. The challenge there is collecting them, especially if you're smaller. But, we're doing member surveys on a regular now. So we do have those that we can, we have a better source to pull from. And then we've started with some Google reviews, trying to push those. So we're trying to watch and monitor those, and that'll give us the source for some more member testimonials too.
Now, how are you getting those testimonials? I know you said surveys and Google reviews, but is there any incentives that you're offering for people who submit a Google review or who complete a survey?
We haven't, not yet, but we do. I mean, you know, if you're going to put them out there and offer them, you do have to respond to them and monitor them. But we don't necessarily offer any incentives or anything. Most of the time, if you call them and say, hey, we want to do a member testimony, they like that anyways, unless they're an introvert. Oh, we do have a questionnaire that we developed, and so we kind of go based on that to write a story. I do want to do more instead of the written with just a picture, maybe like a video testimonial. I think that's the way to go in the future.
And
Great
there's so
stuff.
many
This is
resources that are,
awesome.
oh, go ahead, Laura,
No,
sorry.
no, it's back to you. We're good.
There's so many resources that are available, especially on Instagram and Facebook. I mean, it's so easy to just pick up a smartphone and, shoot a video, put some music behind it, put some emojis and, maybe even zoom in or do whatever special effects you want in order to just enhance the quality of it. But there's a lot of importance to keeping it authentic and real and not even having so much edits and fluff to it. People, like you said, people respond to, just seeing people they recognize. So if you're just featuring them and putting a video to it, I think that's just great. Just again, just starting, just doing something and putting it out there. And as you go along, you can edit and tweak and learn. So it sounds like you guys are on a great path there.
Thank you so much. This was just great to hear this. I think we covered a lot of good stuff here. I think this will be super helpful.
Thank y'all. Thank you for having us.
Of
Thank
course.
you.
Thank you guys.